Welcome to episode 16 of Yanking Chains, a podcast where we talk everything endurance. I'm Matt Momont.
I'm Vince Matteo.
And I'm Maria Simone.
And this week we have Andy Weinberg of the Endurance Society. But first, let's catch up. Vince, you were up at Western States, right?
I was up in Tahoe when Western States was going on.
So did you watch any of it, or are you just training?
I was just up there training, but I got back just in time to watch the finish. What is this? Oh, my computer's making noise. Sorry. Which is probably better because I would have sat in front of the computer the whole time, glued to it, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get out and do my run, but I can't break away." So it's probably for the better.
Who's the 20-year-old that won it? That made me feel old.
Andrew.
Jeez.
Andrew Miller.
Gosh.
That's impressive. I'm not sure I was running hundreds when I was 20.
Western States had a lot of exciting things this year. Very cool.
Yeah, well, the guy who was in first place and on set for the course record, he got swept up in the rapids where we almost drowned.
I saw that. That video was amazing.
And then he got lost for 2 miles, which I don't know how the hell you do that on that course, but maybe it was his state of mind.
He missed a turn at the. I think he missed a turn at the end. So, but he finished. He still kept going, even though I think that's pretty cool. I just listened to a podcast on Runner Nation, and really cool spirit and attitude. He was pretty cool about it. You'd think he'd be. I'm sure he was upset and disappointed, but he was still kind of like, "Hey, man, it's a race. This kind of thing happens. I went off course." It was, he was totally no blame game at all. He was just kind of like, he was cool. He was a cool dude. I like listening to him.
Which podcast was that?
It was the Trail Runner Nation, I think.
Okay.
It was their most recent one.
Okay.
But you know me, I say the podcast name and then I look it up later. I'm like, no, actually it was. But no, I'm pretty sure this one was Trail Runner Nation. That's the one with Scott Warr and Don Freeman, right? I think that's the one. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Maria, you're in Lake Placid?
I am. One of my most favorite places on earth. Yes, I am here. Very excited. We were here 2 weeks ago for a training camp that John and I presented at, and then we're going to be back here again in 3 weeks for Ironman Lake Placid.
Nice.
So very excited. And we're just here this weekend
for fun. Are you just coaching?
Yeah. Just we have about 9 people doing the race, and John is actually doing the race the week after Vermont 100 because why not?
Cool down.
Why not?
Yeah, shake it up.
It's only an Ironman.
He wants to see what happens. His whole thing was, I want to see what it feels like to do an Ironman the week after 100. So we're going to get the answer to that question.
I know what it's going to feel like.
But I am not doing it.
The runs.
I don't need to do that to know what that's going to feel like.
Yeah. He's here, actually. He's riding his bike and doing that kind of stuff. So I'm going to swim, I think, because Mirror Lake has to be swimming. And especially when there's not 3,000 other people in it, it's great. But yeah, so I'm in Lake Placid. That's what we're doing.
Cool.
Doing our Flatlander jersey, need some hills kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Got Vermont 100 in 2 weeks. My first time at Vermont 100.
Mm-hmm. Where does that run? Where is that ran at? I knew somebody who ran that once.
In Vermont 100?
Where in Vermont? Yeah, where does that start?
It starts in... Andy, do you know? Andy, where's my race?
Good plan. Good planning.
So, I see why I'm on the show. So it starts in South Woodstock. Woodstock, and it's in basically Windsor County. It's beautiful terrain, gorgeous course.
Yeah, you'd never know that I paced and crewed it. It starts in Vermont.
It's a small state.
It's a small state. It's a 100-mile race in a small state.
I'm just gonna do the state.
So
Vermont repeats.
Speaking of Andy, Maria, would you like to introduce our guest?
Oh, hang on. We have a sponsor.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh man, here we go.
We have a sponsor. Okay, so this is our sponsor plug. You ready?
Wow.
This episode of Yanking This episode of Yanking Chains is brought to you by TacoSocks.com, maker of the finest corn and flour tortilla socks. If you act right now, you can use the promo code TOEJAM, that's TOEJAM, to get 50% off your first order. TacoSocks.com, soft on your feet and an edible post-race snack. Find out more at TacoSocks.com.
Oh my God.
No.
Is that a real thing?
way.
Is that a real thing?
No.
That was
Okay.
Did you not hear the last part about soft on your feet and an edible post-race snack?
Hey, dude.
That was
Oh,
Scott.
man.
It was like a Twitter
That was-
thing.
Oh man, I was hoping Scott figured
Oh,
something
okay.
out. That man's a genius.
Okay.
Oh my God, I can't believe I pulled that off.
Oh, that was well done. Gosh.
All right, now we'll go to Andy.
All right, Maria, you want to introduce Andy?
All right. So, yeah. So today we have with us Andy Weinberg, and I met Andy when he was race director of Peak Ultras, which John has done a few times, and I wanted to bring him on because he's got a great story. He's an athlete and a race director. He's a husband and father of 2 girls. Both of them are athletes, and one of which is a member of the USA Luge team, and she's right here in Lake Placid. We're going to go try and find her later, get some paddleboards from her. Andy is a lifelong athlete. He's a swimmer and a runner, and he's swum all the way through college. He's ventured into triathlon and road races starting in about high school and college, and then after he graduated college, he got hooked on running and started doing marathons, which quickly led to ultras, which brought him back into triathlon and long-distance cycling. So he's done all different kinds of events. He's participated in hundreds of races, various disciplines. He's completed ultras from the 50K to the 100 miles and beyond. Triathlons, he's done quintuple Ironman. Yeah, I said quintuple, that's 5. He resides in Vermont, and his hobbies are well suited to that area with skiing, trail running, hiking, swimming, cycling, you name it. He's a real adventure dude. He's one of the partners that runs Endurance Society, which is the outfit that put on Infinitus. So our listeners, if you heard that when I talked about that race a couple weeks ago, this is the race director for that race. It's a small Vermont-based adventure company. They produce extreme races for adventure seekers and endurance enthusiasts. As someone who participated in one of his races, I can say it's definitely for adventure seekers, without a doubt. And I did one of the tamer events. I think that's worth mentioning. Dude, that 88K, I wake up in a cold sweat sometimes thinking about Blood Root.
He has a tame events.
Okay, good. That's good to know because I felt like a little baby, little pumpkin. But there's a wide variety of events. I want to talk about them today in the show for sure. I think it's also worth mentioning that Andy's a real community-oriented guy. Through Endurance Society, he's partnered with the Special Olympics and Leave No Trace and Green Mountain Club. He also sits on the board of directors for Vermont Special Olympics. For his day job, he's a professor in teacher education department, and he works mainly with students who want to become physical education teachers, athletic trainers, and or sports administration majors. He's been in public education for 20 years, and we're super excited to have him on to talk about all of this cool stuff that he's done, that he's doing, that he wants to do. So welcome to the show, Andy. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. I don't know if I'm breaking out or not. Can you hear me?
No, we hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yep, yep.
Got it.
So, Andy,
thanks for having
I
me.
don't know if you're going to talk about this. Yeah, awesome. I don't know if you'll be willing to talk about this or not, but you're just coming off of one of the Endurance Society events, Sine Nomine. Is that how I say that?
Yeah, close. So the event is called Sine Nomine. Now, I'm not a Latin professor, but we had a friend from Middlebury College who helped us with the logo and helped design some of our events, and that means event with no name, and that was last weekend. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah. Now, I know one of the rules is that no one can talk about the details, right? So I just wondered if maybe you'd describe, not the event itself, because I know you can't, but just kind of like if somebody was curious about doing an event with no name and no details, what that would entail.
I can tell you a little bit, but we are sworn to secrecy because the Endurance Society has public events and private events. This happens to be a private event. However, it is a adventure race, and We made it a secret event for a couple reasons. One, there was an event I was involved with for years that was secret, and it got blown up. And it got to the point where people could Google how to train for it, and they could get videos and blogs and pictures and all this different information. So we wanted an event that would be secretive. If you want to come and participate, that's great. That's the only way you'll find out anything about it. So it's a pretty small event. It's very unique, super creative, very individualized. We only allow 50 people in. It sells out immediately. And it's a 2-day event in Vermont in the Green Mountains. And again, super creative, super unique, unbelievable group of athletes. We're already sold out for next year.
That's awesome.
We do have a waiting list. Yeah, it's a great event. It's 2 days. We keep them out in the woods. Super unique and creative. Mainly, it is a race, but a lot of trail running and some other disciplines.
Yeah.
And you have no idea.
I saw.
You have no idea what it costs until the credit card bill shows up.
No, it's actually we try to keep it very affordable. It's no, that's all on the website. It's $300. $300 to enter. We should do that though. That would be great. I love that. If you want to join our race staff, we could probably come up with something cool. It's $300 to enter, and we have a 100% refund if you're not satisfied with your experience.
Wow.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm telling you, it's a mind-blowing experience. This is something you've never seen before. We spend months designing this, and we bring in like a theater department to help us with the production, and it's super, super unique and really cool.
Wow.
But yeah, $300 to enter, sells out right away. We keep it small. That's we have 2 private events. The other one I can talk about, but 2 private events that are small and unique, and we just take care of the athletes very well. And then we have a few bigger events, like the one Maria participated in. And by bigger, I mean 300 people. So, we're a small company, and we want to keep it fairly small. We like the intimate races. The ultra running crowd, you don't need 5. If you get a race with 300 people, it's pretty big in that world, as you guys know. So that's good for us. We don't need 1,000 people. Smaller events are fine.
What's a private event mean?
Oh, so we have the Endurance Society has memberships. So you must be a member of the Endurance Society to participate. And we have about 2,000 members in the Endurance Society, and you get a membership package with a hoodie and a hat and a sticker and a T-shirt, and then you get discounts with our partners, which sometimes are races, sometimes it's we have some lift tickets on there and rock climbing adventures and first aid wilderness stuff, some other race directors and coaching services, etc. So that the private events are only for members, and once they register, we give them the basic information. For that sine nomine, we give them very little information. This year they had the theme. I can tell you the theme. All the information they get is based on the theme. So every year we have a different theme. We've already come up with next year's, which I can't tell you, unfortunately. But we send everything out in the mail, with a postcard or stamped envelope they get in the mail versus email. It's super cool. There's an application they have to fill out. We contact like their elementary school teachers, and we get pictures from them when they were little kids, and super unique stuff.
God. Oh my God, you're totally making me want to do this race, Andy.
It's a riot. You'll sign up for the race, and your second grade teacher will send you a letter asking you why you're doing the race, and you're like, "What? How did she get my information?" Oh, it's a stitch. The people they're blown away. They get to a checkpoint and they find out that we know stuff about them when they were like 7 years old. It's a riot.
That's awesome.
So you mentioned something.
I saw
So Andy, I've kind of a serious but not so serious question. You mentioned that one of your private events got leaked and people had training blogs and everything for it, right? How
Yeah.
do you like, what is your recommendation for training for these sorts of events? How do you know, like, do I need to learn how to bale hay? Do I need to learn how to dig a hole? Like, what's your sort of
Yeah.
like? Do you peak for this race or?
Uh, the race I was referring to, it didn't get leaked. It started as a small intimate race, and then over time it just got blown up. And I missed the fact that you could put on a small intimate race and nobody would know anything about it. So that was kind of the reason we designed this like that. So as far as training, there's really no discipline that's that absurd or out of the ordinary. We do have an application process. So, no offense to someone who's new to the world of racing, but we don't want to get someone to sign up, pay $300 and sign up for a 2-day race and they aren't ready for it. That wouldn't be fair to them or the other participants. So we go through the applications and make sure. Usually the people, we know them. As you guys know, it's a small world, and it's a small group of people that participate in these events. So most of the members, we actually know them personally, or we know them well enough to know if they are ready for an event like this. But we get a lot of ultramarathon runners and some Ironman triathletes, and most of the people that we get are pretty fit, and they're ready to participate in a 2-day race. But I do have a funny story real quick. I was putting on a 50-mile race in Illinois years ago, and I had a lady sign up, and I didn't know this, but she thought it was a 5-mile race. And nobody, she thought it was a typo, and nobody knew this at all. And the first aid station was at mile 6, and she got to that first aid station, and they said, "Okay, great job, 5 miles to your next aid station." So she just went along with it. It turns out she came back to the start-finish venue, which was like mile 20 something, and she bailed. And she was embarrassed, and she said, "I thought I was signing up for a 5-mile race," and then she got there. It was so funny. She's a great person, but she got there and she had no idea. So we try to avoid things like that. But anyways, that's
20 miles. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's a rough day.
It was very impressive. She was too embarrassed to say anything, and so she just kept going. And she was like jogging and walking. And she was a friend. She was ahead of a local guy that I know, and I still hammer him on that. This lady signed up for a 5-mile race, and she was ahead of you the whole time. But we try to make sure people are prepared, and at least have the basic endurance background to participate. The event we had last weekend was approximately 50 or 60 miles total, with lots of other different challenges along the way. But we were in the rivers, and we were climbing up and down mountains. So 50, 60 miles in 2 days, it's a lot of ground to cover, especially with the other. We had a lot of mental challenges and different things that they had to do. So we definitely want to make sure, for safety reasons, that people are ready to participate in an event like that.
What's an example of one of your mental challenges?
They had to learn to translate a foreign language through a number of writing skills, and this particular event, we had checkpoints where the people running the checkpoint only spoke certain languages, and it wasn't English. So the participants would have to figure out what the challenges were based on the language that they were thinking. Yeah, it was awesome. So it's like if you're traveling the world, you have to figure things out. You have to talk to different people and try to figure out what's going on.
You get abducted, black hoodie over your head, thrown into the back of a van, dropped out in the middle of nowhere, need to figure out where the next checkpoint is.
You're not sure if you're being kidnapped or you're actually paying for this?
Matt, they're going to write your parents and ask for ransom.
Hey, this is very interesting, but I can't tell you much more. But that statement, Vince, is
I find myself more and more drawn to it.
I almost feel like Vince was at the race.
Vince has got a new
week.
job.
he was not far off. One of our challenges.
Good Lord!
I can tell you off the air, and you'll be blown away when I tell you one of our challenges.
Were you by chance in the military?
I was not, but
okay. It just reminds me.
I'll send you an email later because I'm sworn to secrecy on this. Otherwise, I could share it online. But
that's awesome.
Moving on.
That's awesome.
So I have a question for you. In the bio you sent to us, you said you're the co-founder of Spartan Race. Is that the Spartan series, or is that a Spartan race?
No, that is the Spartan series. So that was originally founded here in Pittsfield, and years ago, a corporate entity down in Boston. But years ago it started right here in Pittsfield, Vermont.
Wow.
You guys in Vermont are crazy.
I see those things, and it looks fun, but I do not have anything other than the ability to run. Like, I have no strength whatsoever. No obstacle course.
Don't sign up for
You're
one
probably
of
better
races.
Endurance running is great. So you're probably doing just fine, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh man, where
so,
are
Andy,
we?
you also have in the winter time. You also have like snowshoe races that you do, or is that also like a mixed adventure? The Frigus.
Yes, you will love this. Actually, we have two events in the winter. One of them is called Extremis, which is a winter event. So as you guys know, Vermont can be pretty brutal in the winter. So this particular event it's 50 miles on the long trail, and we start all high elevation as far as Vermont's concerned. But it's a group trek, and we go 50 miles on the long trail, ice, snow, wind, sub-0 degree temperatures. We go straight through the night, and that's a small event. So that's 50 people. And then we have Frigus, which is a snowshoe race, and that's tons of fun. And last year I think we had 250. We had 300 registered, but we didn't have great snow last year. But that event, you can do a 10K, 30K, or 60K, and that's a snowshoe race. And Maria, you're familiar with Blueberry Hill. That was the venue this past year. We're getting it. We have a new venue for next year, but that's a fun race. And then the Ultra Marathon, which you participate in, that's probably my favorite out of all of the events we put on. It's just really a great course. And by the way, earlier in this conversation, you said that you did the baby race. You probably did the hardest 50-mile race. If you look and compare them to your other 50-mile races, it's insane. You have to add a few hours.
It's rugged. It's ragged.
Oh my gosh. And by the way, the first section on the Catamount Trail, that's not even a trail. That's just random in the woods.
Thank you for admitting that.
Oh, it's brutal. It's crazy.
It's not.
No, we tried to find the hardest terrain we could possibly find as far as where our venue was. So that first 30 miles out and back just destroys people. It's we've seen pterodactyls out there, and it's wild. That isn't it. You have the 3 big climbs, and then you count, and they're big. It's like straight up 20% grade, 5-mile hikes to the top of the mountain, and then you descend just as steep. That's a tough course. And then once you get back to Blueberry Hill, that last 20 miles was probably easy compared to what you were just on.
But it was the middle of the night, and I didn't know where I was. Oh, Andy, that race was great. And I want to put this out there. Like, some of you guys listening might be thinking, 300 people in a race and 2,000 members. He doesn't know all these people. I watch this man say hello to people by their name. Like, hey, Joe, hey, Sally, hey. Like, he knows everybody. And when I came through, he's talking about that first 30 miles of the race that I did. When I came through, I was like, I think I'm quitting. And he was like, no, you're not. Get out there, little diesel. You got to do this, And It was really.
Lisa, by the way,
it was. I'm glad to hear you say it was as hard as I think it was, because I felt like in my head it was crazy hard. So.
Oh, when you showed up, mouths were on crooked. You had snot coming out of your nose. You
That's
were like
not new.
speaking a foreign
that's
language. I said, what?
That happens on the podcast.
So it was crazy. I didn't even understand what she was saying, but she was able to push on and get a finish. It was it was a tough course. You guys, that Infinitus race is wild. And then I don't know if Maria mentioned to you, she did the 88K, which is approximately 56 miles, lots of vertical change, super rugged course. And then we have the timed events. We have a 48-hour, and where they just run marathons over and over and over on a closed course. And then the long one is the 888K, which is 5. And we had one finisher last year. He did it in 8 days and 8 hours. And then we had one finisher. One finisher this year. 2 years we've only allowed 15 people to enter, and this year we're going to allow 20 to enter that particular distance, and we have a great group coming, so we're looking forward to that. 2017, that'll be in May. That'll be our third attempt at the 888K, and that's an absurd group. I mean, they come and spend 10 days in Vermont, and they just run marathon over and over and over. But it's a good challenge. We wanted to provide, a unique experience for everyone.
That would be unique.
I have this inside.
Now, is the 88? Go ahead, Vince. I'm sorry.
I have this inside-outside voice thing where, like, so I run hundreds. I run only 100 miles, and I run hundreds, and I'm. Like I'm coming up on a race and I'm like, I'm running 100, no big deal, I'm ready. But at the same time, there's this little voice in my head that's like, oh my God, 100 miles. And I look at like this 888K thing and I'm like, that's just insane. But at the same time, there's a Tahoe 200 and I'm like, I want to do that. And I don't know exactly what your background is, but I know you've run 100 and beyond, and does that still go on? I mean, like, or do you just? I mean, I don't know. I'm like, I just some part of me can't wrap my mind around that it's 100 freaking miles or 888K or whatever. But I know I could do it. Like I know there's nothing that I don't think I can do, and that's the other voice. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I'm sure we all have a voice. I remember starting post-college. I was a Division I swimmer in college, and I decided I wanted to run a marathon. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't even have gym shorts, and then I started watching my times. And I was like, I think I can do a marathon. And I fell in love with it, and I did 11 that year. And then a friend of mine said, you've got to meet this guy. And I said, that's absurd. There's no such thing as a 50-mile race. So I go to the gas station, and the guy that tells me how to get to this other guy, and I find out where to meet him. His name's Rich Bro. And I said, Rich, you do 50-mile races? He goes, oh, yeah, you'd love it. You should do it. So I show up at this 50-mile race, and there's like 5 people sitting around a fire drinking beer, a couple dogs. And I said, hey, do you guys know anything about the ultra marathon in there? And I go, oh, cool, good morning. So I did put your name, go ahead and register, take a shirt if you want. It was crazy. It was this real small 50-mile race. Fell in love with that. Then I heard about the 100-mile race. And so I think, we've all been to that point where we want to see how far we can go and really test our limits. I did the same thing in the Ironman world. I heard about the double Ironman, which Maria and John have participated in. I think John has the record. He doesn't want to talk about that. But so I did the double Ironman. Then I heard about the triple Ironman. So I think that's just human nature with endurance freaks. You just want to see how far you can push yourself. But I definitely met my match, and I was broken physically. I mean, mentally, I've been broken hundreds of times, but
Yeah.
physically, I was broken a couple of years ago, and I know how far my body can go, and I know there's no way I could do that 888K. I don't think structurally I'm fit for something like that. Will test themselves, and you do the 100-mile race, and like you said, you're ready for it mentally, and then you get changed during that race. Lots of peaks and valleys, and we've all been through that. So even when you think you're prepared, and so it's just, I don't know why we think it's fun to challenge ourselves like this, but I don't do. Sure. I'm not signed up for the Vermont 100, but I go to it every year, and I always get such a kick out of. I'll see Maria and John down there, and I always get a kick out of pacer or sitting at the aid station, and everyone questions, what the hell was I thinking? This was so silly. But then they cross the finish line, and they're thrilled. It's a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 100 is a long day, and you definitely have those ups and downs, and there's definitely a time in the middle when you're like, why am I doing this? But you're right. You cross the finish line, you're like, woo! You're all stoked, and you want to sign up for the next one.
Yeah. Next day, you're on the ultra sign up.
Yeah. You might not be able to get out of your chair, but you can click the mouse.
Looking for new events.
So 888K was your breaking point?
No, I personally didn't do that event. I did. Maria mentioned it earlier. I signed up for the quintuple Ironman down in Virginia, and it starts out with a 12-mile swim, followed by a 560-mile bike leg, followed by a 131-mile run. And I was competing against a close friend of mine named Olaf, and we were actually competing. I mean, there were only 10 people in the race, the quintuple Ironman, and then a couple days later, the triple Ironman starts, and then the double Ironman the next day. Mile swim, hop on our bikes for 560 miles, which is just absurd. Like my neck and my shoulders, it was just very, very difficult. It rained on us for like 30 hours straight. When you get to 31, very competitive. Like we were battling it out, and for a while we were running 8-minute pace per mile during this 131-mile run. It was ridiculous. It was all on pavement. And at about mile 90 on the run, my body crumbled, and I wound up finishing. But I mean, it was 8 hours. The last 8 hours was just absurd. It was ridiculous. But yeah, that was my breaking point. I got to the end of that race. That was a 5-day race. I finished in 4 days, but physically, my body just broke. I had a stress fracture, and my ankles were so swollen, and that was enough. That was, but I realized that running on pavement isn't good for you, and especially those kind of sleep. It's insane. So I know that 888K is not for me. I enjoy being the race director. I enjoy providing that experience. My partner Jack and we enjoy providing that experience, but I am not interested in participating. Like you said, that Tahoe 200, that looks incredible. A lot of those 200-mile races are awesome, but I think running-wise, I'm more of a hiker now, and I like biking, and I do like running, but my body just can't take it anymore. I like cycling and hiking and swimming, etc.
So what? Obviously, you didn't jump into these like giant endurance races. What was your first race that you put on as a race director?
Oh, back in Illinois. This is great. I was living in Pekin, Illinois. I was a high school swimming coach and high school PE teacher, and I got hooked on ultra marathons. And I found myself driving to Wisconsin and going to Minnesota and going to Arkansas and Missouri. Spending all this money, which back then, this was in the early 90s, mid 90s, you had to send a self-addressed stamped envelope to get the information on the race. You couldn't. There's no internet, and so I was doing all these races and spending what I thought was absurd amount of money, like $100 entry fee. And now I look, it's like, oh gosh, some of the Ironman races, it's crazy how much we spend for these passions. Anyways, I was driving all over the place, participating in these races. And I thought, this is stupid. I'm going to put on a trail running race right here in Illinois. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with McNaughton Park. It's in Pekin, Illinois, and I put on a 50-mile trail race, and I think like 12 people showed up. And a guy named Dink Taylor from Alabama, a phenomenal ultra runner, he came and won the race. The course was very well marked. Maria mentioned earlier that I'm very good with names. I think part of that is being a teacher all those years, but we only had 12 people, so it wasn't hard to remember their names. But you start to build this relationship with these 12 people, and they wanted, one lady said, I said, hey, you're doing great, you're at mile 40, you're going to finish. She said, I would love some ice cream. We went and got her ice cream in the middle of this race. It was just kind of funny, but out of those 12 people, all of them came back the next year, and we started to build this race, which for years I was very passionate about, this small little race called McNaughton Park. We got to about 300 people, and that was right when I moved to Vermont. But that was that was my first ultra marathon, and then I helped with a bunch of community events. Like I actually put on a triathlon. You'll get a kick out of this. The first triathlon I put on was a 2-mile swim, 18-mile bike ride, and a 10K run. And people from all over our area said, well, he's a swimmer. I can't believe he's doing a 2-mile swim. That's ridiculous. And I said, well, this is good training for the Ironman. You're getting ready for the Ironman. This is perfect. You come and do a 2-mile swim. It's a sprint triathlon with a 2-mile swim. You can't do that. And I said, well, you guys, if you don't want to sign, all the distances are different at every race you go to. And they go, yeah, but it's usually a sprint, an Olympic, or an Ironman or a half Ironman. You can't just make up distances. And so I had my high school swim team would destroy the 2-mile swim, and then these kids would be on BMX bikes. They didn't know how to shift gears, but I would talk all of them into doing the triathlon. Kids are running in like Vans sneakers and gym shorts. They have skateboard helmets, but we always had like 100 high school kids would participate in this triathlon, and then 100 community, people from our area. It was an awesome race. It was so much fun. But the 2-mile swim usually shunned a lot of people away. But that was my first triathlon. And then we joked about it. Next year's triathlon, no goggles. We're going to take your goggles before the swim.
Oh, no.
Take your bike seat when you get to the running leg or to the bike leg. We never did that stuff, but I always think it's good to be prepared for the worst. So if you think about these ultra marathons or even the Ironman Lake Placid a couple years ago, a very close friend of mine dropped out and he was miserable. And he said, I'm not used to this. Like, when I go and ride, it's a beautiful day, and then he can crush it. This guy's phenomenal on the bike. But the rain kicked in, and it got windy, and he wound up bailing. And he said, I'm so bummed out at myself. All these other people finished. Why did I quit? And I think it's because he's not used to dealing with the elements. And, as we all know, especially with trail running and ultramarathons, you don't know what you're going to get. It could be a beautiful day, and then a storm blows in, and you're a mile 70, and you not only have to deal with your mental side of it, and physically you're starting to fall apart. Now it's pouring rain on you. It's really an absurd thing that we like. The whole thing is crazy.
I frequently question it.
So
too.
I got a comment and a question. I found your results for the quintuple. I'm impressed. 101 hours and 15 minutes. That is a long time to be working out, sir. That's a long time. You also look kind of bent over hitting the anvil.
That was a long day. Oh my gosh,
yeah, multiple
it was absurd.
days.
The last 7 or 8 hours where I was just walking. It was just excruciating, and I probably should have quit, but they only have this is the first time this race had come to America, and there were only 10 of us signed up for it. But I remember getting to that point where Olaf, the guy who won the race, we were super competitive. Like, we were very close on the bike, and then he passed me, and we got to the run, and then I caught him on the run. And, like, from mile 50 to 80, we were together, and he just kept running, and I couldn't anymore. So I wound up shuffling for a while, and then eventually it was Michael Jackson Thriller video. I was crooked, and, oh, my gosh. It was absolutely horrible. But, yeah, 101 hours, that's the longest I've ever participated. I've done some 2- and 3-day races, running, adventure, cycling, triathlon, but that was the longest. There's some sleep thrown in there, but not too much.
So you have an event called the Traders Team Adventure. So if anyone's doing this race, I wanted this episode to be maybe a little hint or pro tip for them that they could come listen to from the race director himself. In the description, you have participants should bring enough provisions to last them through the event. Fire and shelter building materials, sturdy footwear, and appropriate layers are a must. Also bring items that would help you haul abnormally shaped equipment and supplies. What sort of items does one use to haul abnormally shaped equipment?
This is great that we are talking about traders, because I think you guys should put a team. You should put a team together. I'll give you a free entry.
You need to tell me what I need to bring to carry. What do I need to carry these abnormally shaped items with?
I'm not built for carrying things.
It depends. If you're in the event, you guys should put a team together. You would have a ball. I'm not kidding you. You would have so much fun. You three, you need one more person. So we have Vince, Matt, Maria. Let's get John.
No. I'm not built for carrying things.
Do you need a wheelbarrow? Do you need, like, ropes? Do you need, like,
a
mesh net?
No.
Maria's harness?
Yeah.
No wheelbarrow. So Matt just looked at the description. Matt, you're a fur trader in the 1600s, so you wouldn't have a wheelbarrow. But so all of some of the clues are in that introduction.
Okay.
By the way, you're gonna look at our website and think we're just a bunch of freaks, but we have a few normal events, and then we have a few that is more of an event for the adventure seeker. So that is a adventure race. You have to be with a team, and you have to be prepared for land navigation, orienteering, shelter building, fire building. Super unique event. 100 people. As far as carrying the obscure items, you would have lashing and rope, and you would use your teammates or anything that you find in the woods to help move these objects.
Who are the indigenous people of Vermont?
So,
we're gonna have to. Are you gonna have to fighting? Will I have to shoot someone? Is this gonna get violent?
No, there's absolutely no fighting.
Okay.
But you will
that's
have
not
to.
Very realistic, I guess, for the settler.
You will have to barter. You'll have to barter with each team. Each team will receive a gear list, and the gear list is there's 20 different teams, but there's going to be 20 teams. You have to have 4 people or 5 people on a team, and then each team will receive a different gear list. There's 6 different gear lists that'll go out.
That's so mean.
So there are going to be times when you will need something that your team doesn't have, so you will have to barter and negotiate with other teams. The only way you can move on to the next checkpoint is if you finish building a fire, for example. But maybe on your gear list it didn't say to bring any fire building material, so you'll have to figure out how to build a fire. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.
That we've got some friends of ours that are coming in to help design it, and in rural Vermont. That'll also be about 50 miles, and that's a 24-hour event.
That's awesome. That sounds amazing.
You guys should talk about it, because I think you could put together a team and you could really experience what the Endurance Society is, and that would be a lot of fun. And Vince, you like trail running. There is trail running.
I like trail running. I don't like
perfect.
carrying things or.
This is an apothecary. Vince could be our
I don't like to. It don't make me think. I don't want. I can barely speak English, let alone translate a language I probably know.
So
I kind of want to do this. I want to do this.
Matt can be the thinker. Maria can be the workhorse. She can carry everything. Matt can be the thinker.
Don't make me a
Vince,
navigator.
you can just encourage. Who's good at navigation? Someone asked. You guys are screwed if you can't do navigation.
John has to be.
Like
John's
you'll be
the
in
navigator.
Yeah, there's no navigation. I got us lost on a trail with signs.
Yeah. Last time we were with Vince in the woods, we ended up running an extra 20 miles.
Last time I was in the woods with Vince, I was somewhere on the side of Zion. I don't even know where I was.
Yeah, we had to find a road. We had to find a road because we got lost in Zion with a marked trail.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, that's no good.
Bad.
Hey, I'll send you guys a confirmation email today just with the basic information.
I'm putting you in my spam filter.
This is gonna be great. I'm so glad you guys. You guys can crash at my house the night before, and we'll head up the day of. You'll love it.
Oh my god.
So speaking of getting lost, it'll be fun.
I got lost.
So what? I got a couple questions for you. So
I got lost on your extremely well-marked course.
So are you still racing?
I haven't signed up for anything for this year. That's funny because every race that I go to that I put on, people say, "Hey, what's your next?" I would like to swim the English Channel, which isn't a race, but that's been on my list for years. And there's some other things. I've always wanted to do the long trail, which is 270 miles. I'd like to do that straight through. I'd like to bike across America. The DECA Ironman is coming to the United States. That's a 24-mile swim, and then you have to do a 1,120-mile bike leg and 262-mile run. But I just got done telling you that I broke at the quintuple, so I don't know how that'll go. But currently, I'm not signed up for anything. I'd like to, at some point, get back into ultras. There's a few hundreds that I would like to do, that I've always wanted to do. I'm not too keen on the lottery system. It seems like kind of a hassle, and I'm like Coco the monkey. I just want to sign up for a race, go and do it. I don't want to deal with the whole lottery, but I understand that's the way it goes these days. But I currently am not signed up for anything. I wake up in the morning, I go for a bike ride, and work on putting on our races. But hopefully at some point I can pick Ironman Lake Placid. I really want to do that. A bunch of them that are on. I'd like to hard point, get motivated, and pick one. I like to sign up a year ahead of time, and choose a race and just be dialed in for that. So I need to get on it. But currently I'm not registered for anything at this point. So hopefully I'll figure that out soon.
All right, Andy. We have coming up on an hour. We really appreciate you for coming on the show. This has been amazing.
Yeah, this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know what. I gotta work on Vince and Maria. We gotta work on Vince and get him to sign up for this trader thing.
No.
We gotta do this as a team.
No. You can get Brendan. It can be Brendan, you, Maria, and John.
Yeah,
I'll
support you.
I will say, if you're looking for an experience, you should do one of Andy's races, because it really, I wanted to get broken, and John had done Andy's races in the past, and he's like, if you want to get broken, this is a good race to do. And I wanted to be on the ledge in a way that I hadn't been before, and I succeeded in that endeavor. But it's in a good way. It's not a negative thing. Like, I feel like I learned a lot more about what I can do from doing his race. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to do traders, of course, but I do think anyone listening to this, it's worth preparing yourself to do one of Andy's races. It's a great experience. It is that 12 racer feel, which I think is amazing. Even though there are 300 people, it's great. It's a wonderful experience.
Well, thanks for the nice comments, Maria. You did an awesome job at the race, and we'd love to have anyone come and join us at the Endurance Society. We have some fun events, and it's a super cool group of people, and just a fun group to be around. So thanks a lot for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in October at Traders. It'll be fun.
All right, cool.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. We will see you in 2 weeks.